guys, so this is what if Daku was in the support course, part 1. Now guys, so let's get into it. Now this is what if Daku was in the support course, part 1. Now I saw what if do this, and I want to do this, and I've seen this is a pretty good trend with what ifers. So yeah, I want to do this. Now guys, this is another one of my new what ifs I'm doing this whole entire trend of me going back and catching up with all my supernatural what ifs and all that other stuff. Now basically guys, this is what if Daku was in the support course, part 1. Now Daku will be making a lot of items. He'll basically be like Tony Stark kind of stuff. Now Daku was born with not a quirk, but Deku was born pretty much a prodigy off the start. Deku was able to speak by the age of 2 months. No, straight up, no cap though. Deku was able to speak in perfect English by the time he was 5. Deku was able to speak like a 13-year-old by the age of 5. Deku was extremely smart. He was extremely mature for his age. By the time Deku was 5 and he was told that he was quirkless, Deku said it was okay and that he'll use his mind to become the first quirkless hero. And Deku set his mind on that specifically. Deku was also very smart-mouthed when it came to Bakugo. When Bakugo tried to bully Deku, Deku said, "You're just bullying me because you feel insecure, and you just pick on the weak. You're not being a hero. That's more or less kind of being a villain." And Bakugo gets angry about this every time and beats up Deku. But Deku isn't mad because he's at least, emotionally kind of beating up Bakugo. Or, messing with Bakugo. Now basically, Deku, over the span of his life, by the time Deku was about 10, Deku started experimenting and taking apart stuff like old, microwaves, stoves, cars, motorcycles that didn't work anymore, and pretty much using the gears and the machinery to make items that would give him the ability, or give him the slightest chance of being one of the first quirkless heroes. Now basically, Deku wanted to strive to be the least number 2 or number 3 hero, but not the number 1 hero, because he's quirkless. And Deku thought irrationally with this, but Deku also dreamed of being the number 1 hero as well. Now basically, Deku mostly focused on his work and didn't really take time to, get a girlfriend. Most girls actually did want Deku because he was incredibly smart. But most girls didn't want Deku because he was quirkless, and he was a nothing. That's what they thought. And that's what most people thought of Deku. So Deku never tried with any other girl. He either thought, they just wanted him to do their homework, and Deku was no simp, so he wasn't gonna do none of that. So basically, Deku pretty much makes up a bunch of items, machines, and all sorts of other stuff to give him the ability to be a quirk. Now basically, Deku wears this outfit every time he tests out some gear. So yeah, so this is Deku's street outfit, but also Deku's experimentation outfit. Now Deku first tried to focus on more or less serums or the code, or more or less Deku was thinking about focusing on the quirk gene and trying to find out if it was a way to make a artificial quirk. But Deku didn't really explore on that item, because what if someone got the blueprints and tried to give artificial quirks to people that already had quirks and make them OP, like villains? So basically, Deku holded off on that idea and focused on machines that would give him the ability to go toe-to-toe with somebody with a quirk. So basically, Deku got the whole entire thing with Bakugo throwing his notebook off the ledge ended way differently, because Deku put years of experimentations, documents, and all sorts of other stuff in there, and Deku looked at Bakugo with a death stare and pretty much punched Bakugo in the face without a second thought, and just started pummeling him on the ground. And that second, Deku snapped, and that will be a current thing through this what if. Deku will be snapping and be pretty much going 0 to 100 real quick. I mean, like straight up just punching somebody in the face. And Deku wasn't even letting Bakugo get a slightest chance of using his quirk. He was punching Bakugo in the face so much at this point that Bakugo was already passed out and he was bleeding rapidly from the face. I'm surprised Bakugo didn't, and Deku was surprised when, the other teacher pulled Deku off of him. Pulled Deku off of, Bakugo, and Deku was surprised that Bakugo didn't choke on his own blood, because there was a lot of blood on Deku's hands, his shirt, and also on Bakugo's face. Now, Bakugo was hospitalized, and he didn't get any permanent damage on his face. He just got his nose slightly broken, and his lip also got busted about in 5 different places. So it was pretty nasty. But they were able to fix it with a person at the hospital that had a slight healing quirk that could help Deku. So he used it on on Bakugo, and Bakugo was okie dokie. It didn't leave any lifelong scars on Bakugo at all, but it did still hurt. So yeah, so basically, Deku coming home and Deku's mom saying, "Why would you do that?" And pretty much Deku's saying that he destroyed years of my expectations, and my documents, and all sorts of other stuff. Now Deku puts up his notebook and says, "Well, at least at least I made my books out of that waterproof felt." Basically, Bakugo did not explode his notebook. Bakugo actually just threw the notebook out of the window and hoped for it to fall in the puddle. It did fall into the puddle, but the notebook was actually waterproof because Deku, put it on there. But in that short second, Deku did not remember it. So, he thought his notebook and his years of, documents were just gone. So Deku started going back into his room, and his room was pretty big. Now Deku's mom actually Deku's mom works for a company that is really successful. Kind of like how her company is kind of like Google type of stuff. Like it's like literally ran by pretty much 50% of the human population. Basically, it runs 50% of the human population and their, items. Basically, Deku lives in a bigger house and not in an apartment home. He lives in a big house, kind of a penthouse with a pretty big rooms, like really big rooms. Basically, Deku works in his room. Now it's 2 rooms that Deku has. Deku has another room that's sealed off by metal plaques and all sorts of other stuff, and Deku experiments in that room. Now, basically, Deku experiments in that room and basically, test out new machinery. Now, Deku has a safe wall between the rooms. The room where he, does blueprints, and the room where he sees how, it happens. Testing it out. Now, basically, Deku's first, successful hero gear that could give him a chance against a quirk person was inspired by Bakugo's quirk. It was called the Tech Gloves. But these gloves were also inspired by All Might's quirk as well. Pretty much Deku's gloves gave Deku superhuman strength in his hands. Not his arms, but his hands. Deku was able to shoot, what was it? Concussive blast of sound waves from the tips of the fingers. Deku was also able to pretty much absorb heat and also wind pressure through the gloves and pretty much destroy or read towards it, pretty much redirect the beam of wind or fire or any type of energy that was blasted into the gloves and pretty much use them in a way of, flighting like propulsion or the, other option of using it and, using it as an attack or, a move. Basically, Deku's gloves also had a booster effect, giving Deku pretty much a booster punch, a booster punch. Basically, Deku had, these gloves were like the first successful one that Deku had that had no bugs in them at all. Deku's gloves were incredibly strong and really powerful. They also were made out of a very durable metal that could take a couple of blows from All Might himself. Basically, Deku's gloves were also bulletproof, so Deku could move fast. If Deku moved fast enough, he could catch bullets with his gloves. So yeah, so basically, Deku's gloves were incredibly strong. Now, doing all this, Deku's gloves could also unlock any type of, thing, because it would use a little bit of nanotechnology from the pointer finger and make a key to any door or any type of lock. So yeah. So basically, Deku made about 3 more hero gear that could give Deku a fighting chance between a quirk person like, I don't know, All Might or Endeavor, and maybe give him a chance of winning. So this was one of the, almost one of the strongest items Deku has, but also one of the most portable items Deku has. The other one would be Deku's modified or made hero costume. Deku's hero costume was a merge between the, gloves that he wore, but merged into the suit, looking like this. Now, the suit looks like exactly like this to, a point. Basically, the suit had all of the aid and first aid and all of it, but the suit did give Deku a little bit of an imitation of a quirk. It gave Deku the ability to use sonic disruptors to pretty much mimic anybody's voice, but also give Deku the ability to sonic scream. Deku also was given the ability, Deku's, pretty much face mask could also attract into a gas mask, giving Deku the ability to breathe through toxic air. Deku will also be able to use his, suit as, like how Iron Man uses his suit to fly and use the propulsor blast from the bottom of the shoes, and also give Deku the ability to use superhuman strength as well, like Iron Man does in his suit. Deku will also be able to shoot laser beams from his hands, shoulders, and waist belt, and Deku will also be able to use, to attract some sort of green batarang type, shurikens from his belt, like a utility belt. Also, Deku had grenades. Now, these grenades are actually made out of a substance very similar to nitroglycerin, but a lot more dangerous. Deku made this serum by himself, and pretty much with the slightest touch, like little tap, it would make pretty much the substance be able to mimic a bomb. Basically, Deku never hold these things on him. If it was an emergency, Deku would have them on him. Basically, these can mimic about 1% of an A bomb. Now, basically, these were in little containers, kind of like kind of like a penny type of container, or like a Marvel type of container. And if he threw it, it would basically crack, and that's when the explosion would happen. So basically, Deku doing this whole thing, his suit was also bulletproof, fireproof, laserproof, and also it can absorb wind pressure and also give Deku supreme strength, like I said earlier, and also give Deku the ability to use X-ray vision and also the other arrays of sight. Deku will also be able to keep record of his steps or the power he's using and stuff like that. Now, Deku's main power source would be normal stuff like a bunch of batteries that would be compacted into little containers that could be portable, and also Deku will be able to make a temporary power source made out of some materials, making Deku a small miniature sun, able to power Deku some tech. Now, Deku didn't give out his secret just yet because he wanted to use it to become the number 2 hero, or the number 3 hero, and when he secured his spot as the number 3 hero, he would then show the world his new, tech of energy, pretty much, absorb energy, energy absorption or energy source, his new energy source he made. Basically, this will become Deku's hero costume. So yeah, let me get off of this. But that wasn't the only suit Deku made. Deku also made another super suit, but the main focus of the suit was to give Deku a crazy amount of durability. Now, this suit was actually made out of nanotech that Deku made, and took Deku about 5 years to make in total. Now, the suit will basically be able to pretty much do the same thing Iron Man did in Endgame. Pretty much this suit can do everything Iron Man's suit in Endgame could do. Make objects out of thin air, but the main focus of the suit was to give Deku incredible durability. Now, this suit will be able to take massive blows of hits. Deku even said himself that the suit could possibly take an A-bomb to the chest. Now, this suit would be incredibly durable, and it would take literally a godlike being to crack it. So Deku, if he broke anything inside of it, it would take, days or months for him to, get all the screws and get all the, pretty much equipment to remove the plaque and, pretty much replace the battery or the power source. But he made a more or less a more permanent form of that miniature sun and put it in the chest of the suit. But it'll be hidden by this, um, white plaque. Now, this isn't on here. It's actually Deku's name, Daku. So, yeah. So, Deku's suit would be very much focused on durability, and also will be using nanotech as well. So, it is compacted into a watch Deku wears daily. So, Deku could have some tech on him if he doesn't have his gloves on him. So, yeah. So, basically, that was another one of Deku's model suits, but Deku's other suit was a skin-tight suit that would give Deku I mean like straight up Spider-Man, Daredevil, a little bit of Black Widow, and also Taskmaster type of, agility. Deku's suit would give Deku enhanced senses to a point of Daredevil, and Deku's suit would also give Deku incredible durability, give Deku the ability to crawl on walls, shoot grappling hooks to be able to swing the building to building, and Deku would also give this suit will also give Deku temporarily superhuman strength to a point of Spider-Man type of level. Deku could also use this suit to you know, fight crime because the suit isn't bulletproof or any type of fireproof, but the suit does give Deku a crazy amount of a crazy amount of agility because the suit used a little bit of gravitational power, giving Deku the ability to move gravity to his advantage in, flips, kicks, dodges, and also jumps. So Deku can make inhuman type of jumps, even if somebody had a quirk that could do it. So yeah. So basically, with all this explained, Deku had a bunch of, suits, and pretty much like an Iron Man type of thing, a Hall of Armor type of thing, and pretty much had a bunch of hero tech that would give Deku a fighting chance to become a hero. The only flaw was these, pretty much suits. They did have some time limits on the functions that they had. So basically, Deku couldn't bring a full-blown super suit to the entrance exams. So Deku took his, Deku signed up for the whole tire, he can bring his tools and also the other stuff. And Deku also signed up for the hero course, but also signed up for the support course just in case he didn't make it. But Deku had absolute faith in himself that he would make it into the hero course. Now, basically, Deku did train his body to a point of becoming, just 1% a little bit more stronger than Canon Deku without the quirk. Now, basically, Deku had the same body that he has in Canon with the scars intact, because it would be from, experimentations with his tech. And Deku would also have, Deku will also be as tall as Canon, and pretty much have the same body as Canon with the scars. Deku would obviously I just explained it in the beginning that Deku will be incredibly smart. So Deku, is pretty ready for the entrance exam. Now Deku was trained in about pretty much 50 different forms of martial arts. So yeah, Deku was pretty trained in hand-to-hand combat even without any type of hero tech. Now basically Deku took his hero gloves. Deku took his tech gloves with him, and also took his nanotech suit, but his nanotech suit can only work for about an hour until it completely deformed and went back into the watch. So yeah, so Deku had to use his time, okay. So basically, Deku's gloves could work for a long amount of time, about 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, so Deku only took his nanotech suit in the watch, and also took his hero gloves with him. Deku also took his, what should I call it? Yeah, so Deku only took those 2 items. Deku walks in there with his, gloves on, and pretty much Ida, looks at Deku and says, "Are you supposed to have that?" And pretty much President Mike joins in and says, "Are you supposed to have that?" Deku says, "I'm quirkless and I'm just here to show out my tech, and basically, try to become the first quirkless person. Now, the first quirkless hero." President Mike admires and says, "This kid has a bright heart. I hope he does get into. I hope he does get into UA." And pretty much, he starts it off. Now everybody starts, and pretty much, he always says, "You're heroes. Villains don't wait for you to start." And pretty much, everybody starts sprinting off. Deku using the little bit of stored energy that he made, flying down here with his, techno suit, pretty much using it and making wind pressure to blast robots into walls left and right. Deku using some of the fire, mechanics into the suit because somebody with a fire breath quirk was breathing fire and Deku walked into his way and absorbs one of the flames. Deku burning some robots and punching them through some walls using his tech gloves. Eventually his tech gloves did run out of wind pressure and also fire pressure, and also it did start lowering down in the strength and mechanicals. Basically, Deku did have about 15 minutes more of superhuman strength in his hands, so Deku used this to his advantage and crushed some robots and punching them into walls and all sorts of other stuff. Now, Deku eventually saw the, basically Zero Point robot about to run away, but he hears a girl screaming. Deku sees, Ochaku in rubble. Deku runs over to Ochaku and pretty much lifts the rubble off of her and pretty much struggling because the suit can, do a lot of strength. I mean, the gloves can use a lot of strength, but, they are almost out of strength. So he pushes the rubble off easily, but a little bit, kind of takes it takes a long time. Deku grabs Ochaku, about to run off, but the Zero Point robot's about to step on both of them. And at a split second, Deku pretty much uses his voice command to activate the mechanical suit in the watch, or the nanotech suit in the watch, and covers Deku. And Deku transforms into his hero tech suit and his nanotech suit and pretty much flies up to the Zero Point robot's foot and pushes it up using a maximum speed, strength, and a maximum speed and strength of the suit, and uses all the propulsional power and pretty much boosts the Zero Pointer off its feet, making it fall backwards into the ground. Deku grabs Ochaku and pretty much flies out there as fast as possible, out escaping the cloud of dust and rubble that's flying everywhere because of the Zero Pointer falling. Deku gets Ochaku to the recovery girl, and Deku flies off into the sky, shooting blast of energy and repulsors at multiple different targets. Now Deku stops, pretty much stopping, and his his hero tech suit taking it off, putting it back in his watch, and pretty much Deku using his gloves to pretty much climb on top of a building, looking around and seeing that hearing alarms going off around the city, and basically they say that the time's up and everybody will go home. Deku goes back home and starts experimenting on and tweaking up the nanotech suit. Now the nanotech suit does have a little bit of tweaks to it, but it is good. Now basically Deku's nanotech suit, that's about it. It does have is very strong, and you probably wonder that why this Deku's hero costume isn't mainly this hero costume. Basically, Deku will have multiple hero costumes. This hero costume, the only flaw with this hero costume is it has no head protection at all. No head protection. Like, Deku can't fit any of the helmet mechanics into the suit because he focused mainly all of it in durability and making other weapons off the suit. Now, basically, Deku took off the weapon mechanics off the suit and only, put in the flying mechanic and the laser beam mechanic, but he couldn't put in the helmet mechanic and just had a bunch of nanotech weapons just laying around in his workspace. So Deku's suit was only able to fly, have crazy durability, shoot laser and repulsor blasts out of it, and also it had no head protection at all. Deku only had, custom shades that would protect him from massive waves, massive blasts of, what was it called? A wind pressure? Yeah. So basically Deku's nanotech suit was flawed in some ways, but it was pretty good and gave Deku a fighting chance. Now Deku got a pretty good score altogether and got a really good score. But sadly, Deku didn't have enough, hero points, and Deku didn't have enough rescue points because the only person Deku rescued was Ochaku. And he rescued, he did put a lot more other people in danger, pushing that robot on his back. So yeah. So basically, Deku did not pass, but All Might did say Deku did get into the support course. So Deku gets into the support course and, walks into UA the next day, walking into the support course, and pretty much Gearhead, or whatever his name is, explained to the, Hero course, the sports, what's it called? The, what's it called? What's it called? The Hero course, the support course about, how they're going to be having, docs and pretty much, being able to basically, working. Now, Deku gets his own workspace, saying that it's kind of small. It's not as big as his house, but it's good enough to get him through some, experimentations that he's trying to do. So basically, Deku experiments with some, stuff. Now, basically, Deku's first experimentation is going to be trying to... Now, basically, Deku's not going to be tweaking up his nanotech suit. Deku will not be tweaking up his nanotech suit a lot. Not really a much, but just tweaking up some of the nanotech in it, being able to, form around Deku's body a little bit more faster. Now, basically, Deku, did, tweak up his, gloves, giving a little bit more of a time, giving the time limit a little bit more. Now, basically, sorry guys, so basically Deku, pretty much sitting there in UA, just, chilling. Deku works on another piece of equipment called the tech headphones, or something like that. What's it called? The techno headphones. Basically, Deku's headphones will be able to give Deku heightened senses like his other suits, like his other hero suit, his pro hero suit that he made that has no flaws at all, that I explained later on in the what if. Earlier on in the what if. Basically, this pair of headphones gave Deku the ability to hear about 50 miles outwards from where he's standing. Basically, he has a lot of feet that Deku can hear. And Deku can hear from any type of direction, meaning that Deku can hear people's heartbeats, pretty much their breathing, and also the other stuff like the birds chirping, gunshots, everything. Giving Deku incredible hearing to a point of, not anybody, like, no one can sneak on Deku. Like, no one can sneak up on Deku when he's wearing these. So, yeah. So, Deku works on these, and, in about a month, Deku gets a pretty good, it perfects them. Until, a whole entire the sports festival shows up. Now, I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. It's been about 27 minutes, and I'm pretty sure you guys want to get this what if over. Now, if you don't, I'll be uploading part 2, maybe next week or this weekend. Probably not this weekend, but probably next week or the week after that. So yeah. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this what if. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and as always guys, again, have a blessed day.